the bulk of the complaints relates to customers who are not maintaining their accounts. Well, out of 13, 2 may or may not be as a result of the resident. Now, this municipality didn't start yesterday. This entity, as we know it now, started in 2000, which is 24 years ago. In that time, it's accumulated outstanding debt, as my colleague has just, Councillor McPherson, indicated, of 34 billion, and of that, probably about, I think, 6 or 8 billion accumulated in the last 24 months. But we're sitting here with a situation where we're now lauding the department to say they've come up with this plan in 24 years, which makes one to wonder, the people who are employed at these departments, like the Sizakala Centre, within the service departments, what are they getting paid for? Because surely if my account has got a problem and I come there, they're supposed to be resolving it so that the municipality can recover what is legally due to it. Now we have to bring in a special plan which says we're going to go out to wards, we're going to do an education program. Why does it take all of 34 billion rand before we start doing it? Because every morning people arrive at work, and when the customer comes there, that's what they're supposed to do. Surely there is everybody's got a job description, and within this description, there's expectations. But we're sitting with residents that are now in a position where we've brought in debt relief programs, and one thing is we're glad that this is actually on the table, because that was part of the recommendation that was altered by us on the 30th of September to say, while we're extending the program to the end of December, we also have to put programs in place to address. But we also warned that it's probably going to take about a month before anything's put on table. And quite rightly so, because we are a month later and we're only going to be noting these now, and December is quite close. Hence the fact that we asked that we should have extended that to February, because we're only implementing now with dates ranging to March next year to resolve problems that we should have resolved when they came. Because some people are sitting with these debts for 2-3 years, they've been disconnected, they have to enter into payment plans with the municipality, and again remind, of the 13, only 2 may fall to the resident. The others is failure by the municipality. So as much as we note this, we also ask that we actually start, or not us, that those who are paid and employed to do a job actually do what the municipality employs them to do, which is resolve when there's a query, go out, confirm, and if they do, and they meaning the residents, if they do submit their meter readings with a platform that is so created, and they take the time, please audit it so that the people pay what is due, because this also distorts our expected income and our expected outstandings, because by adjusting it all the time, you are getting distorted figure of what you're actually expecting to come in and what you're going to pay. So we will note this today, and we will be very cleanly keeping a close eye to see whether people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, what they're getting paid to do in the interest of the residents out there. Because it's very, very disturbing when a granny phones you at 6 o'clock in the morning, having just opened the post, she's got a little pension, and suddenly she's saddled with an 80,000 rand account, and all they say to her is, pay now, we'll resolve it later. Thank you, Chair. This is another one. And this one is not 24 years old, but this is 50 months old, because this very council, on the 23rd of August 2020, which is 50 months ago, already made a decision to implement this, already made a decision to transfer it from the one department to the other. It's taken us 50 months and probably about 6 to 7 billion rand later before we are where we are. Now, listening to my colleagues earlier today, I hear that percentages of a 95% collection, 99%, and we seem to get very excited about that. But it's wrong. It means you're only collecting that percentage of what you're currently billing. You're forgetting that we need to recover about 103 to 105% so we can start working down that 34 billion. So if we're only at 95%, which is what you need to balance the budget, every month you've got another 5% that you add to the 34 billion. So we mustn't get too excited about that. If we're recovering in the region of 103 to 105, as we did about 5 years ago, then we can get a little bit more excited, but not yet. I'm looking at a few things here, and you look and you think to yourself, so the municipality has been doing water meter readings in a different department. And you then look at what the challenges are, and you see that now that it moves, we have to look at operating procedures. So what have they been doing all along? We have to look at furniture, tools, and trade. But what did they use before? We have to look at office accommodation. But what did they use before? We have to look at risk management. But what did they do before? Because it's not something new. We're just moving it from the one department to the other. And suddenly it looks like we have to reinvent the wheel. Isn't it just a reprioritization and just putting it under somebody else's care? Why is it that we have to redo the whole thing? Why is it that we're failing, and it's in the report, to read these meters so much so that we have to give somebody else revenue control? Because if we look at our employment programs, in there we've got supposedly community water meter readers. Well, quite honestly, I've never seen one. But I don't know why they are, but we do pay them every month, some EPWP or whatever the case may be. And then we also look at water losses. One of my colleagues just mentioned the water losses, and he used the word unidentified water losses. We are still running at above 55% in water losses for non-revenue water. And one would have to ask, while we're doing on the one side, we're now implementing a program to make sure that we read and hopefully charge people for what they're using, we have to also take into account that we are paying for other water where we are not receiving revenue and we're losing it. So now this is the time that I have to just take a little example from yesterday, because as you know, the road between the city and the Mamsantoti, the bridge washed away or broke yesterday. So we're now going to declare a republic, and you're going to have to go through a different route to come to us. Not really. But it did force me to take a different route, a route that I don't normally take. And these areas, if I call it, people will probably understand the route that I took, and then you will wonder why. Umlazi Q, Umlazi AA, Pilani Valley, Adams, Kwamakuta. For those who know the area will know which route I took to get around it. It's a very good route. But the negative part was, there was not once on that route that I did not see water running down the street. Not once. Not in all of that areas. There's water running uncontrollably down the streets, and these are not necessarily back roads. It's a main arterial route, and one would have to wonder, why is that not being reported? Why has it not been fixed? It's not something you have to look for. It is there. So if you live in that area, if you're the councillor for that area, if you've got friends in that area, how is it that that water is left to flow? And I can see it's not from today, because the grass is very green there. That is water leaks that's not been fixed. That is where the revenue is running through. You don't have to go look for it. It's there. Just drive down the road. If you follow that road today, and I ask you, Speaker, and everybody who's driving towards the Imbizo on Friday, and you have to go on a route that you have to follow, why don't you follow that route and then call me a liar and see what you see there? It is atrocious that the water is left there. This is non-revenue water, and we wonder where we're losing it. We're losing it right in front of our eyes. I think we should be a little bit more proactive and not just go and see where we can get the people who owe us water. And we're all for. If you've used, you must pay. But if you're not paying, you must also stop the loss. So let's work together to see if we can reduce that expenditure and that ever-growing bill, because once you keep an eye on what's going out, that's coming in will start balancing. We note this with concern. Thank you, Chair.